Governor Walz's climate change subcabinet is putting forward an ambitious goal of achieving a 50% reduction in carbon emissions by 2030 and net zero emissions by 2050. Getting there will require efforts in all sectors, including policy changes. Joining me now is the chair of the Senate Committee on Energy, Senator David Senjem. Thanks for joining me.
Good to be here, Shannon, as always.
Among all senators, you have the most experience in working with energy policy, and you have led efforts to move Minnesota forward in providing both reliable and renewable energy generation. Is the governor's call for 50% reduction in carbon emissions by 2030, net zero by 2050 realistic?
I think it's the goal that you need to work towards. Whether or not when 2030 comes or 2050, if we're not quite there, whatever it is, but it's aspirational, and I think it's good to be aspirational in these areas at this time because we know that we're on this journey, and this journey will certainly take some level of thought, some level of change. Change is always difficult, but I think we're on our way. We're doing good things now. I think we'll continue to do good things. I think Governor Walz's initiative here is an important one, and irrespective of the election, I think that will carry over. We're just on this journey, and I think we're going to get there.
Last session, you were debating a bill in the Senate that would have lifted the moratorium on nuclear power. You said, and I quote, "Wind and solar are coming along, but they are just a small portion of what is on the menu right now. To achieve the ambitious net zero goal, what do future policymakers need to do?"
Well, I think we need to add nuclear power to our menu. I mean, the small modular reactors now, they sort of package them in 50 megawatt pieces, if you will, and you can buy those. They're much safer than, if you will, the former large nuclear power plants. So I think they need to be part of the menu. We talk about base load. We also, though, need to spend a lot of money. And by the way, Minnesota is way, I think, out ahead of many states in terms of energy storage and in respect to hydrogen, ammonia. I think we're doing research here which is cutting edge in the world, frankly, out at the University of Minnesota Morris. We have a lot of good things going for, but we're gonna need reliance. There's no question about that. People will demand that. So how do you take all that wind and solar and let it work for you when the wind's not blowing and the sun's not shining? You have to have storage, and I think you have to have some level of nuclear power in this mix as well. And by the way, it's clean. It's clean. We can talk about the nuclear waste and so on. We can manage that.
So just a little bit more on nuclear power then, because the Senate passed a bill that would have allowed the Public Utilities Commission to consider options for small nuclear power production. In your view, what will be the percentage that could be fulfilled in Minnesota in coming years if we were to move in the nuclear direction? Like, what percentage do you think ideally we should rely on for nuclear?
I think wind and solar will dominate because of just a price. I think that the amount will be basically what we need for assurance relative to reliability. So it's hard to put a percent on there. I could say 20% or something like that, but it's really difficult at this time. We're all in the very fluctuating kind of thought process right now. But I just think the reliance on some level of baseload power is important, and we have some hydro, just tiny bit of it coming from Canada. We need just a little bit more reliance than wind and solar can give us.
So, in your view, though, it is a key component.
Yeah, I think it needs to be part. We talk about the full menu and incorporating all of that together, and I think nuclear power has to be part of our future forward.
Now, when we started, we were talking about Governor Walz, 2030, 2050, and policymakers, of course, can establish these lofty goals. But how do you incentivize a move towards net zero emissions? Because policymakers are not going to be generating this power. It has to be utility companies that generate the power. So how do you incentivize this?
I think about Germany a lot and how they've incentivized themselves, and frankly, in many respects, more recently, it's been the young people that said, you know, we want you, Dad and Mom, to take better care of our Earth, and so that's one level of incentive. But right now, with the federal infrastructure bill and the more recent Inflation Reduction Act bill, there is a lot of money coming to states and, frankly, even to people. I think there is the possibility of $8,000 worth of grant money available for electrifying houses, for instance, and so this is all going to unfold in the next couple of years. There's going to be those kind of incentives and probably more that kind of come along here.
Now, you are not currently, but you have been in the past, a member of the Transportation Committee, and a key aspect to net zero emissions has to do with vehicles. Critical to this is not only sufficient charging stations, but improvements in battery life and storage capabilities. Mining is key to battery production. Mining is controversial. What is the path for policymakers to walk this line?
I think, you know, like all of us, we understand when we learn. And I'm personally convinced that you can put the engineering controls, you can put the oversight on the mining activity together in such a way that you can do this, that you can mine the critical minerals and that you can preserve, if you will, the Earth at the same time. I'm just dead confident you can do that. You know, we do it all the time, frankly, in our food processing plants and things. You know, every place that we want to really guarantee safety, we have that oversight component, and you know, the checks and balances between government and the private sector. I think we can do it in mining too.
You've been active for many years in partnerships with Germany, and it pertains, as it pertains, to clean energy, and you mentioned it just a moment ago. So Germany is now facing a very serious energy crisis because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Are there crucial lessons that we here in the United States should learn from what is happening there?
Well, I think it's just, again, diversify your power supply, but move forward. And the German people are just a marvelous group of people over there, and what I really admire about them right now, they're going through really, and will be going through some really hard times. In our country, I think if you ask people to go through those kind of difficulties, there would perhaps be a bit of a political uproar. We don't see that in Germany. I think we see some stability. They're handling it just perfectly in my mind. They understand what their problems are, but they're out, you know, working very, very hard to solve them. And the country's not in chaos, and I don't think it will be. They will move forward in a typical German sort of way towards the future.
Senator David Senjem, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.